A popular YouTuber who had 430,000 subscribers was recently revealed to have a dark secret from his past. The YouTube creator was 84-year-old Tom Eugene Willett from Madison, Tennessee. He was known as Featureman on YouTube and would make cooking videos such as cooking TV meal dinners and store-bought pizzas. Many tuned in to watch him due to his old age and that he reminded his viewers of being with their grandfather and came off relaxed in his videos whilst he played piano and sung songs. In April 2023, a dark secret from Featureman's past came back to haunt him. Old newspaper clippings were released showing 35-year-old Tom Willett had sexually abused a 14-year-old boy 3 times in 3 different locations in November and December 1973. Tom Willett worked as a volunteer in 1973 at a Child Haven boys' home in Las Vegas, Nevada. Whilst Tom Willett worked as a musical volunteer at the boys' home, he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old boy in the boys' cabin room and committed the act of oral copulation. He then took the same boy to a drive-in movie theater to watch a violent movie which involved rape and murder called The Night of the Bloody Apes and committed the second act of oral copulation there and then the third act at Tom Willett's home. Tom Willett aka Featureman was eventually arrested and a jury at the district court in Nevada found him guilty on Tuesday, December 28, 1976 for the 3 homosexual sexual assaults on the 14-year-old boy from the Child Haven. Tom was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole on each count with the terms to run concurrently. The sentences were suspended and appellant was placed on probation for a period not to exceed 5 years with the first year to be served in the Clark County Jail. Tom Willett had also committed another sexual assault on another boy at the Etty Lee Boys Orphanage whilst visiting in November 1973, who later was a witness against him at his trial. The witness was 18 at the time in 1976. After Tom Willett spent a year at the Clark County Jail, his attorney in September 1978 helped him overturn his conviction due to a technicality and a mistake in the ruling for his conviction from the judge. Tom went into detail in a now-deleted video explaining the situation.
Hello YouTubers, YouTuberettes. I will talk about the serious matter here, so maybe something that the kids might not want to hear. You might want to put them in a different room, pause the video for a while and then listen to it with other adults. And I will be talking about my arrest record, and that happened back in the 1970s, what I'm going to be telling you about. And it seems there's some people asking questions now on the internet about me, so might as well clear that up. I lived in Las Vegas, and one day in the 1970s, I rode in a vehicle from Las Vegas to Carson City. With me were 3 other people, and we rode to Nevada State Prison. That's in Carson City. Carson City is the capital city of Nevada. And when we got to the prison, there's an outside gate, and we drove into that. That's the Sallyport area, S-A-L-L-Y-P-O-R-T, Sallyport area. And we were all searched, and the vehicle was searched, and we went on in the inside gate and went into the prison yard, and we had first thing we did is we ate with the prisoners. There was a big lunch, and we sat down with the prisoners and ate whatever they happened to have. I don't remember. But then we got back out into the prison yard, and we set up our drums and amplifiers and musical instruments, and we got the piano from wherever they kept it at the prison, and I did a show. The show was probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And then we left the prison the same day. We were there for probably 2 hours, and I drove home. Yeah, that was in the early 1970s. Now, that was the only time I have ever been inside the walls of Nevada State Prison. That's the only time it happened. I did a show there. It was a fabulous show. We got some of the convicts up to perform with us in our band, and I wish we'd had video cameras back in those days, but we did not. So it is just a fond memory in the minds of the few people who might remember that show. Now, about 1977, I became involved with the court system once again. I was arrested. I was tried, I was convicted by a jury, and I was sentenced. And the sentence was life in prison. And the sentence was life in prison. And the sentence was life in prison. Three lives in prison. I regret that I have but one life to give for this video, but the charge, there is a law, 201.190 Nevada statute, there is a law about public decency. You're not supposed to have intimate relationships with other people in public. 201.190, commission of certain sexual acts in public. I'm reading off the screen here. But in 1977, 201.190 read differently. I helped get it changed. I was in court more than 50 times, and I did write either writs or motions. I can't remember now because it's been a long time ago, but I wrote either some writs or some motions, and I got consideration by Nevada Supreme Court, and I would always talk about the vagueness of the 201.190. What 201.190 was in 1977, and again, if you have an attorney, have them check it up, but make sure they look at the 1977 description of infamous crime against nature. And it is written very specifically, the, T-H-E, singular, one only. The infamous crime, without an S on the end. It's a singular event that is illegal. The infamous crime against nature. I was charged with that, and what it is, anything that they want it to be, and I'm talking about the prosecution, the district attorney's office. If a police officer didn't like you, they could charge you with infamous crime against nature. If you had any sort of sexual contact with anyone other than a man and a woman who were married to each other, anything else was considered infamous crime against nature. And without getting into details, I will say that there was a trial, and the witness against me, and he was over 18 years of age, the witness against me admitted on the witness stand that he was lying when my attorney cross-examined him about certain errors in what he had said and used as his statement in court. He admitted that he was getting 2 felonies dropped. He'd been held in jail until he would testify against me, and he'd get 2 felonies dropped. So they said to the jury, the prosecutor, when they made their closing statement, said something to the effect that, hold on one second. turn that off. And we'll forget about that. The person who had been on the stand, who was the only witness against me, said some things that when he was cross-examined, he said, "Oh yeah, that's right, that didn't happen." He did admit that the thing he talked about had not happened. The jury was told that by the prosecution that he was telling the truth and he didn't get anything wrong. Anyway, I was found guilty by a jury. Now, the judge in the case was an interesting person, and I'm pretty sure without anything having been said at the time, I'm sure he saw that the jury had reached a conclusion, just because it's sort of like when you point a finger at someone and accuse them of something, some people believe it. So the result of the trial was that I was convicted. Now, the only penalty for infamous crime against nature in 1977, the only thing that a judge could do, which also made this statute unconstitutional back then, the judge could not say, well, it's from 3 years to 5 years, 5 years to 10 years. They didn't have any latitude. They had to sentence the person to life in prison. So I had 3 lives in prison looming ahead of me. Came time for the sentence to be announced, and the judge said, I sentence you, count number 1, life in prison, count number 2, life in prison, count number 3, life in prison. And then he said, before even 10 seconds had gone by, after he announced the sentencing, he said, "This sentence is suspended," meaning I would not be going to prison. And he said, and in exchange for not going to prison, I'm going to place you on probation, with the first year to be in the Clark County Jail. Now, a few things happened after that. The most important, I won't even try to list these in order of importance, but a friend of mine, a lady named Kay, came to visit me in the prison, and it was kind of interesting and weird way that it all happened. There were visiting hours, and I couldn't tell you what they were, but probably something like noon to 4 o'clock, whatever it was. There were certain visiting hours for people outside to come visit the prisoners. And this was about 10 o'clock at night, and a guard at the jail came to the area. I was in the trustee area. There were about 40 or 50 people in there, and the guard came in and said, "Willett." Yeah, he said, "You have a visitor." And everybody, "What? A visitor at 10 p.m.? This is impossible." Anyway, I went with him to the visiting area, and on the way there, the guard said, "You must have some very powerful friends." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, the governor of Nevada, arranged the visit. He got a call from the governor's office, and the visit is going to take place." So I went and had a meeting with Kay, and we talked a little bit. She was a friend of mine and knew her for many years, and I won't get too distracted here. We'll focus on the legal matters. Kay made some suggestions, and we planned some things, and we went into court for the sentencing. There was a stack of letters asking for leniency, and a whole bunch of things were going on. And somehow or other, at Clark County Jail, they had books and magazines for the prisoners to read, but we were not allowed any law books. And I was writing writs already without knowing what I was doing. I was going ahead and doing it because I had enough information about how to do it. But a Reader's Digest magazine came into the place where I was with the trustees, and I started reading the Reader's Digest. Used to have some good stories. And one of the stories was about Ex parte Milligan, EXPARTE MILLIGAN, Ex parte Milligan. You can look it up. It has to do with due process. And I realized after reading it that the judge did not have the authority to place me in jail as a condition of probation. And the reason being, it's not in the law of Nevada. The law in Nevada said when a person commits the infamous crime against nature, they shall be sentenced to prison for life. That's the only, and there was no description of what a infamous crime against nature was. Anyway, the result of my reading that, I wrote a writ or a motion, and I asked to be sent back down. This is after he had ruled on the sentence and placed me in prison for life, supposedly, but with the first year being on probation in Clark County Jail. And so I got myself back into court, and they brought in my attorney and the prosecutor, and the judge says, Mr. Willard, I have your document here where you want to challenge my authority to place you in Clark County Jail for 1 year. He said, but before I rule on this, I think it would be good for you to listen to a writ or motion that the deputy district attorney wants to submit. I said, fine. And so the deputy district attorney said, we asked for the release of Tom Willett. And what the heck is going on? And he talked about what a great model prisoner, which I'm no more great than the next person. But yeah, this is the district attorney. This is the person who's supposed to be coming after me, and he's asking for my release. And it dawned on me. I realized what had happened. I happened to step on a nerve when I talked about how the judge does not have the authority, because there were a whole bunch of people in Clark County Jail who were spending their first year of probation inside the Clark County Jail, and they would all have to be released if the judge ruled in my favor. Now, if he did not rule in my favor, I would go to the Nevada Supreme Court. They knew that, and I would have won. There are many people that I want to thank, but anyway, I was released, and I never had any more problems with that. Now there's a YouTube attorney wannabe who thinks that something that happened 45 years. Is there anyone else out there who's got 45 years of a clean record and I haven't sneezed in public or anything? I mean, let's be sensible about this. 201.190 was an unconstitutional law. I helped get it changed. They charged me with a crime that had only one punishment, infamous crime against nature. Anyone who commits that shall be sentenced to life. And you can look at, and again, if you have an attorney friend who has access to 1977 law books, get them to take a look at this. Ask them, is this constitutional when you have a vague supposed law, a statute on the books, and it says you can't do whatever I think is a crime. Even if you didn't do it, it doesn't matter if I think you did it. That's about all. I will thank some people. The Hull family, H-U-L-L, the Baker family, B-A-K-E-R. Let me make sure I get all of them here. I'm reading the wrong page here. Anyway, the Bakers, the Hulls, the Bannermans, Judge J. Charles Thompson, I don't know if he's still alive or not, I hope he is. And who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but my experience at Nevada State Prison, they had good food for me, they treated me nicely, the prisoners were nice. I have no bad memories of any of the experiences I've had. And I'm happy to be at YouTube and let your friends know about the video and let them watch it too. Anyone who's in a situation where you are dealing with law enforcement that is not proper, do stand your ground. I did not make any deals with any police or district attorney or anyone. Everything happened because I happened to have some friends and because things went well for me. I've had a good life, so I thank you very much for watching.
Over the decades, Tom Willett was a movie extra and a background character in movies such as Grease 2 and Back to the Future. Tom Willett also went by the name Herman Schmerdley, who was his music alter ego. It's been speculated if Tom has committed other crimes against children in the last 50 years when he was traveling around, working his extra acting roles, doing his music and being a YouTube content creator. In light of the new revelation, questionable social media posts have been found which in hindsight might be perhaps dubious even though he seems to have not posted anything illegal. Tom Willett aka Featureman has been free to live his life in public for decades and did not seem to show any remorse for what he had done in his Jailhouse Adventures video. Hopefully he doesn't have any other victims and he will now move on from YouTube and quietly disappear.